We've got a news alert out of the Trump administration. Let's get to Kayla Tausche in D.C. with the details. Kayla.
Hey, Melissa, the National Economic Council Director Larry Kudlow is looking to restock the White House economic team amid its turnover. This is according to 3 people familiar with the matter. Among the people Kudlow is considering for key roles, Dan Clifton of Strategas Research Partners and Stephen Moore, the conservative economist and Kudlow's close friend. Clifton has been floated as a potential deputy director or chief of staff, and he's said to be one of a handful of candidates being considered, including other senior agency officials and at least one current NEC staffer. Moore's name has been mentioned for a bespoke senior advisory role. According to Art Laffer, a close friend of both Moore's and Kudlow's, he's someone who is in step with Kudlow and could ably fill his shoes when he is away. Clifton and Moore declined to comment. Kudlow, who is a former CNBC contributor, did not respond to requests for comment. Roughly a quarter of the NEC's 24 jobs are open, including senior roles leading infrastructure and agricultural policy. The deputy role will vacate in the coming weeks with the departure of Shahira Knight. She is set to take a senior role at a financial trade association here in Washington, but may remain at the White House to run its legislative affairs arm. The White House, for its part, said it would not comment on who Larry has spoken to, only that he's interviewed several candidates both internally and externally for the positions. Melissa?
All right, Kayla, thank you. Kayla Tausche. And of course, all of those names should be very familiar to CNBC viewers. They are regulars, and we should note that many of them are very close friends, as Kayla had mentioned, with Larry Kudlow. They penned a number of op-eds in the Wall Street Journal, et cetera, together. So I think it's more
all these guys,
which is probably a good thing.
I think it is. I mean, I think these are very enlightened, kind of big picture minds that I think are they may fit the posture of this administration, but frankly, I think these are folks that really are thinking about the big picture, especially as it relates to foreign trade. I think it's great.
Yeah, very free trade oriented, though. But I'm wondering if that free trade, is that the policy? I don't know. Maybe it appears not at the moment. Ultimately, maybe we'll see something very different. I assume that we will. But at the moment, it feels like the less free traders.
It feels like when Kudlow had a heart attack and he was sort of sidelined for a time, that Navarro and Lighthizer really gained some say and sway within the administration. So.
I sense a conspiracy theorist in you just
No, I'm not. That's my end of my thoughts.
He just said it.
That is true.
I think that's true, though. I mean, I think
it does appear that the trade rhetoric has been amped up over the last couple of weeks, right? So, you get people in there that are more free traders. To me, I think that's better for the world.
Market friendly.
Market
Why are you laughing?
Yeah,
no, I'm just laughing. I'm just thinking. I mean, maybe I have the former Soviet Union in my head and people doing nefarious things to other. Move on.
Why are you taking down the former Soviets?
Let's stick with D.C. and the trade wars here. Shares of Harley Davidson suffering their 4th day of losses as President Trump goes hog wild, threatens the company with new taxes. Let's get out to Phil LeBeau in Chicago for the latest on this. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Melissa, it wasn't just the tweets this morning where the president not just once, not twice, but 3 times went after Harley Davidson with pretty pointed attacks. He then went back at them in the afternoon when cameras were allowed into a cabinet meeting. Here's what he had to say about Harley Davidson.
Harley Davidson is using that as an excuse, and I don't like that because I've been very good to Harley Davidson, and they used it as an excuse. And I think the people that ride Harleys are not happy with Harley Davidson, and I wouldn't be either.
What does Harley Davidson think about being called out again by the president? We reached out to the company today. We heard nothing back. And as far as I can tell, Melissa, I have not seen any response from Harley Davidson either to the president's tweets this morning or to the comments tonight at the White House. It brings up the question, if the president goes against your company, could it hurt business? Could people say, yeah, you know what, I agree with the president, I don't like Harley Davidson? Well, take a look at what's at stake for Harley Davidson in the U.S. It has roughly half of the market when it comes to motorcycles in the United States. Its Q1 sales were down 12%. That may be not necessarily an indication of Harley Davidson struggling as much as it is there's soft demand right now when it comes to motorcycles in the United States. So as you take a look at shares of Harley Davidson, I know a lot of people will be saying, well, will they ultimately say something? Will they respond because they're getting beaten up? There's really 2 ways to handle this if you're a CEO, Melissa, as far as I can tell, because I cover so many companies that have been attacked by President Trump. You either go to the White House or go to the president and you have a conversation and ultimately make a deal. We saw that with Boeing. Remember the Air Force One project? Now they get along swimmingly. Or you really don't say anything, which is what we've seen from General Motors, Toyota, the German automakers. You just kind of sit there and you take it, and you don't respond the way that you might ordinarily if somebody attacks you on social media. And those are really the two ways we've seen companies handle the president when he's attacked in the past.
Yep. All right, Phil, thank you. Phil LeBeau in Chicago. And then you also have to ask, if the president says don't buy a Harley Davidson, are customers going to not buy a Harley Davidson? We've seen boycotts.
Yes and no, though. There's going to be a whole other faction of, you know what? I support Harley Davidson. I'm going to go out and buy a Harley. Right? I mean, we've seen that with many things. I think when Delta Airlines, or a couple of the airlines, not most recently, but a few months back.
I think President Trump's point, though, that a lot of Harley buyers tend to be Trump supporters.
His base,
and by the way, Harley's issues are secular, not cyclical. I mean, they're having a tough time. They've been having a tough time for a long time. As Phil pointed out, 12% down year over year. U.S. sales down 12%, worldwide down 7%. This is not a trade war stock. This is just a stock in decline.
Stock is only down 0.6% today on the back of Trump's on the back of Trump's sort of amped up rhetoric.
And you know, maybe this will put a.
You rode a Harley in college, right?
Of course I did. I had a little sidecar that you used to want to get in all the time, and I said, get away from that. See that? You got to be careful who you're playing with.
Well done by you.
With that said, I'm with Tim. We said it last night. It's a stock. It's a company that's in secular decline for the last 5 years, right? I mean, comps. Phil just said it, down 12% in the U.S. That's really bad. But I'm telling you another thing. You're 2 or 3 days away from some YouTube video of a guy torching his Harley in his front lawn.
And then you think that brings the stock down?
That, to me, might be the bottom for the stock. Because, you know, you get into a place now where you look at it and maybe valuation's starting to make sense. Last quarter, gross margins hung in there. Maybe you could start to see it.
Sell the tweet, buy the torch.
Listen, you know, if they do, I like what you just did. That I didn't miss it.
Sell the torch, the sidecar.
But also to that point, we have seen time, and this is everything, time and time again. You have these big sweeping statements, and they're walked back a bit. So you look at Harley, already beaten up. $40 appears to be support. To me, I think it's great risk reward to try to play that. Listen, this is going to be walked back a bit.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.